Let me go back to Colorado, getting by North Dakota State. We said it. Tough team to open up with. North Dakota State is a really good team. If this game was at North Dakota State, I think they would have won that game. But give credit to Colorado. They did what they needed to do when they needed to do it. It wasn't pretty. It's not going to be pretty this year. But they do have 2 first-round draft picks. Travis Hunter, pick what you want to do. You want to be a receiver, you want to be a defensive back. Maybe you want to be both. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a first-round draft pick as well. But defense not very good, and they're going to have some explosive plays. They're going to be in shootouts, it feels like, every single weekend. But they came through when they needed to, and here's Deion after the win.
You got to take what people give you. You can't take what you want, and it's not there. I mean, what is it? What did he throw for? 445 yards? You think we upset?
Right.
Who upset? So, they didn't have a running game. Well, the passing game looked pretty darn good today. So let's be appreciative and thankful that we got one of the premier guys in college football spinning it. We're going to run the ball. We're going to do that. We're going to have a lot more balance. Today was just that type of day. You got to take what they give you.
Okay. But then there was a play towards the end of the game where Deion's son, Shedeur, put it up for grabs, and Deion apparently didn't call the play.
At the end of the game, we just want to run the ball. Let's get out of here. And he took a shot, to LeJohntay, because he wanted LeJohntay to have a big play. Because you got the other 2 guys, the dogs, having a big play, and he know he's going to have a one-on-one matchup. He just didn't put it out there far enough. But that's his character. I'm like, dog, come on, dog. Not right now. It's not time to be the good guy right now. It's time to let's put this game away. But that's what that was.
Come on, dog.
Dog, come on, dog. He's the best.
Now, that explains a lot, because I'm thinking the last thing you're going to do is throw the ball. Last thing. And then he throws it, and I'm going, oh, my God. And you can see Deion's like, what are you doing? And then you have to punt, and North Dakota State almost made him pay for it. But it was fun. It was fun to watch. But, that gap we have between FCS and FBS, it might be a little closer than what we really think, because Montana State got paid $350,000 by New Mexico to go and play New Mexico and then go to New Mexico and beat New Mexico. Montana State is really good. 4-point win. North Dakota State, they're the second favorite for the national championship. So these are quality teams there. You have remember when Appalachian State would play and they opened up with Michigan one year and you're like, oh boy, that's not a team to open up with. And then they ended up winning in Michigan. You have that occasionally where you have these teams. South Dakota State defending FCS champs. Now they're playing Oklahoma State in Stillwater. Oklahoma State, I believe, has 20 starters back. And, would I be surprised if that game's really close or South Dakota State won? I would not be, because they're 9.5-point underdogs, just like North Dakota State was with Colorado. Oklahoma State is better than Colorado, but these are 2 really good teams on the road, and, they need to do this. They want to schedule out of conference. They want to schedule with the bigger boys, so when they go back and they're playing in their conference, in their division, that they're ready to go. So, FCS, FBS, I know it's sometimes not as blurred as we think it should be, but there are probably 5 to 7 programs that can go toe-to-toe with some of these schools. Now, not Georgia, not Alabama, but with some of these other schools, absolutely. And Colorado taking on North Dakota State, I don't know if Deion scheduled that, but, that's one of those where you go, wait, we're open up with them? That's one of those where you go, well, even TCU. But Colorado would get these games because people probably wanted to schedule Colorado because they weren't very good. Now, with Colorado getting a little bit better, and you certainly saw that last night, the schedule is going to change where maybe you don't take chances like this. But give credit, Colorado ended up winning the game, and Travis Hunter is probably the leading candidate for the Heisman. The month of September, he is the Heisman frontrunner so far, only because the other frontrunners, the favorites, haven't played. But he's great. And I'm looking at the number of plays that he was involved in. He played 129 snaps, 57 on offense, 72 on defense. Wide receiver, defensive back, corner, safety, a linebacker at one point. Pretty remarkable. I mean, the best player on the field. And I know what people are going to say, and we talked about it last year, and that is, could he be a two-way player? Talent-wise, yes. Time-wise, probably not. Because you have to be in the receivers' meetings, offensive meetings, and then you'd have to be in the defensive meetings. You have to go out and then have reps at practice. I think what will happen with Travis is he would probably be a defense. Like, it's easier to find a wide receiver than it is a great cornerback. You can find great wide receivers. Great cornerbacks, how many great cornerbacks do we have in the NFL right now? Not a lot. We have a lot of great wide receivers. He might go in as a corner, and then maybe you have 10 plays that you use him for, 5 plays you use him for, maybe a punt return. He's that talented. And Shedeur Sanders is going to be a first-round draft pick. Probably going to be a Heisman candidate, maybe more so than Travis Hunter. But Deion got the win, and it was fun. I enjoyed that game. I was not going to be surprised if North Dakota State won that game. Also, you had other. I thought North Carolina, Minnesota was going to be the game of the night, and it turned out to be. Came down to the final seconds. Minnesota had a chance to win that, missed a field goal. It was fun. Fun to watch that back and forth, and North Carolina ended up getting the win. Seton, what's the poll question today?
Well, we could start with, if you were Travis Hunter, which would you play in the NFL, offense or defense?
Okay. Well, you're going to get paid more as a wide receiver if you're an elite wide receiver. But it feels like, I mean, he might be just one of those guys on defense that you do pay a lot more because he's going to be reminiscent of Deion or Darrelle Revis, Champ Bailey, those guys that are just difference makers. But I think he would go in as a defensive back, but he might be looking at these salaries that these receivers are getting and going, yeah, it'd be nice to be able to play defense, but nobody knows. If you're great as a cornerback, nobody knows who you are because you're not involved in plays because you're taking away the best wide receiver. The ball's not going over to you. And as a wide receiver, you're going to be in the conversation constantly. So he might go, I kind of like the money and the spotlight there as opposed to being a lockdown corner. Yes, Heaton.
That's 6'1", 6'2"? That's pretty good
big.
size.
Yeah, that's big.
For a corner.
Yeah.
You know what I like about him going in as a cornerback? He would play every play as a corner, and then you could sneak him in as a wide receiver on offense.
Sure.
If he's a wide receiver, you're not sneak. Just throw him out in corner for a couple of plays.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paulie.
What if Travis Hunter went the other direction? I know you just laid out the reasons why you can't be a semi-full-time two-way player. What if he did the same thing Ohtani did when he negotiated with the MLB teams and said, I'm going to play full-time-ish both ways? And that's how he ended up at the Angels. Now, he may drop in the draft because of that, because if he's demanding like that, but he could also be one of the more novel, unique players of the next generation in the NFL if he says, I want to play 40 plays a game on both sides of the ball.
Well, I don't know what his salary would be, but you could get kind of 2 salaries if you're playing 2 different positions, I would think. Now, the question is, are teams going to want him to play both, allow him to play both? But it certainly worked out for Shohei Ohtani and the Angels. Yes, Todd.
You could squeeze too much out of a great player that can do both, and then all of a sudden he's injured because you asked too much of him to play offense and defense, and now you've lost him for either side of the ball.
Yeah, well, I think he's talented enough that even at 75% at both positions, he's still going to be pretty elite. He's great. But he was the number 1 recruit in America and went to Jackson State with Deion and then transferred when Deion left. But what other poll questions are we thinking about today?
Yeah, Todd's got a couple of interesting ones, too. We didn't get to our usual Thursday round of Todd poll questions, but he's back again on Friday.
Okay.
Always very exciting.
Okay.
After watching the game last night, the Colorado Buffaloes are going to be much better than I thought, in trouble, and will struggle just to be bowl eligible. How impressed were you with the Buffaloes last night?
I wasn't. I was impressed with a couple of players. That defense is not good. And North Dakota State could run when they wanted to run. There was very little pass rush, it felt like. but they're going to have explosive plays. They're just going to be in shootouts. I think you just have to lock yourself in and say it's going to be a wild ride. Do I think 6 wins, 7 wins? Possibility? Sure. Just because you have a great quarterback and you have a couple of great wide receivers. And Deion says they're still going to run the football, but with his son as the quarterback, changing plays in the line of scrimmage, I mean, who knows? By the way, the 4 ranked teams were in action last night, won by a combined score of 186-24. Western Carolina scored 21 of the 24 points. They lost to North Carolina State, and Missouri and Utah had shutouts there. Utah's quarterback is Cam Rising. He had 5 touchdown passes. Utah blew out Southern Utah. He's a 7th-year senior.
Last of a breed.
7th-year senior. Now, I watched the Rose Bowl when he blew out his knee. That was 2023. And here we are, and he is a 7th-year senior. Like, we need to cap it. Like, you should get 5 years to play. Like, right? I mean, I know you had the COVID, and there's transfer portal, but 7 years?
Time to enter the real world. You're not an adolescent anymore. Go with the real world the rest of us after college.
Now, I did stay off campus at the University of Dayton for a few years after I graduated. I lived off campus. But I wasn't taking classes. I just liked the atmosphere. You know, the beer was cheap, so was the rent, and no short supply of shorties, if you know what I mean. Yes, Paulie.
Cam Rising was born in the 90s. That's it. The entire statement.
All right, 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP Show. Buddha in San Francisco. Good morning, Buddha.
No, buddy. Happy Meat Friday, boys. Minister of Humor. Let's go, baby. DP, I don't know about Marvin, but I slept a whole lot better last night after getting Brandon Ayuk notification last night. That was, my goodness, in the words of Seton, Jeepers Creepers, that was getting ridiculous. And Coach Prime, Dan, riding his 2 horses and first-round draft picks and Heisman hopefuls. I mean, winning the opener was great and for content, but I feel like Colorado's a ticking time bomb, Dan. Like, they only have so many wins in them. And then when they start losing, that's when it's going to get interesting and it starts unraveling because, you know, Coach Prime has got some ego there, but we'll see how he handles it all. And I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to watch. So you guys have a great weekend, boys.
Thank you, Buddha. Can we look at Colorado's schedule? I know they have Colorado State. The Big 12 isn't as formidable as it has been. Yes, Paulie.
The next few weeks at Nebraska, at Colorado State, home Baylor, at Central Florida, Kansas State, Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State.
Okay.
It's like all B teams. Like,
yeah, well, Utah might be a really good team. Utah might be in the playoffs. Oklahoma State's good. I don't know if they're great, but okay, at Colorado State, that was a great game last year. They could lose at Nebraska. I don't even know what the line is on that, but Nebraska, I think, is going to be a lot better. Star freshman quarterback.